My name is Rachel Johnson. I'm 21 and I'm from Betaville, Kentucky. And I've been in recovery for 18 months. Well, both of my parents were in addiction. My mom, she left me and my sister at a very young age. I don't even really remember her growing up. It was always my dad. And then my dad, he was an alcoholic and he was an IV user too. So needless to say that a single dad that was on drugs and alcoholic, the court systems got involved, and we started going to foster care at a very young age. I think the first time I might have been 4, my sister was 5. By the time that I was 10 and my sister was 11, I'd say we were in a bunch of different foster homes. My dad ended up going to jail and I was placed back in the court system. But by this time, I think he was gone for 1.5 years and he came home, and the social workers started a prevention plan to place me back with my dad. My sister, she had went crazy and she was in state facilities and getting moved around. But they were still trying to work with me. But I'd done went wild. I was already smoking pot, having sex. You know, everyone always told me and my sister we were going to grow up and be just like our mom. We was never going to amount to nothing. We were just, already on the wrong path. So by the time that I was 15, I moved out with my 30-year-old boyfriend and dropped out of high school and started my intravenous drug addiction. I started doing 30s, and it wasn't, it didn't seem bad. I thought that I was living life. I was really enjoying what I was doing, because that's all I'd ever known. I knew that, I'd see like women with nice clothes and husband and kids, and that's what I wanted, So me at 15, taking care of my boyfriend at his dad's house was the only way that I knew how to get that, if that makes any sense. I know the law was after me because I'd quit going to school, and it was like truant. I was a truant. So I ended up getting involved in some really bad stuff. There was a murder, and they said that I was involved in it. So the state police and the social workers got on my case pretty quickly. So when they finally caught up with me, I was 16, and when I went to court, I thought they were just going to make me make up a few credits for high school, put me back in school, do this or do that, And you can imagine how I felt when the judge was like, "Oh, we think she needs long-term rehab." I'm like, "What? I don't need rehab at all." I'm sitting there with needle marks all the way up and down my arms, been living with a man. I'm probably not even 100 pounds soaking wet, They put me in rehab for 3 months, and they were like, "Well, you still need more time." So by this point, my mom was clearing out a little bit, and they let me choose. So I was like, "Well, we can go to, it's called Bluegrass Challenge Academy. It's a challenge academy for at-risk youths." And so I went there for 6 months, and I loved it there. I excelled. I really did really well because someone was right there telling me what to do, how to do it. They sent me home in March. April, I turned 18, and then May, I graduated high school, and a few weeks after I graduated, I moved back in with that same guy, and I started my intravenous drug addiction once more. And it was so much worse this time. I mean, I was so hopeless, When you're in high school, you're like, oh, that's what you accomplished. But then after that, I was like, I didn't have a meaning in life, I went buck wild. I was in really bad shape. I would sleep with anyone that would have me. I was just looking for something. I was just still that same broken little girl. I went to jail. A cop that was familiar with my case as a juvenile, when he's like, "Why don't you go back to rehab?" And I was like, "Yeah, I will. Just let me out of this car. Just let me have a chance to run. Just let me get out of here, and I will. I'll really think about it." He's like, "Well," and he knew the social worker that had helped me get into rehab as a child, and he was like, "Well, she works for Unite now," and he's like, "Why don't you come, or I'll get her to come to jail and see you." She's like, "I know this place in Barberville, Kentucky." She said, there's this man and a woman, they're recovering addicts, and after you get sober, you know, they'll help you get a job, they'll help you have a house, they'll, you know, and I was like, man, a job, I've always wanted a job, you know, my own house. You know, I've never had that. I've never lived in a place for over 2 years at a time, so I was like, man, that sounds great. It's like, you know what, yeah, I'll give it a try. So she got the bid letter to the judge, and then the judge, you know, this all happened within like 5 days. It was super quick. Stuff usually never is that quick. So the owner of the rehab and one of the oldest graduates, she works here, they came and got me. And I was wild. So they picked me up, you know, and they were so happy. And when I got to this rehab, everybody here, man, they were so welcoming, and they just were so sincere and so happy. Everyone wanted to sit down and talk to me. They wanted to know if I needed anything, you know. Where I wanted a family, and I'd wanted all these things that I thought the world could offer. And now I've got 2 jobs, and I'm so thankful for that. Man, I've got friends I can call on whenever I need them, whatever time of the night. I'm also enrolled in college. I'm actually the first in my family to ever go to college. And I'm going to be a social worker, needless to say. Because as a child, you know, there's always that one teacher you think of, or that one person. For some people, it's your grandparents or your favorite uncle, you know, that really helped you and shaped and molded you to the woman that you become. And I just had a social worker that didn't give up on me. And I'm so thankful for that one person, you know, for staying consistent and persistent and just sticking with me and believing that I could be something different than what everybody else said I was going to be. And, you know, as far as it goes, to anybody that's out there that is in addiction or that's struggling with, you know, just being broken by this world, you know, there is hope. There is a different kind of life. I'm so thankful that I found it. And you can find it too.